Okay, welcome to A Funny Thing Called Business. This is where four business owners with over 30 years collective experience under our belts share the capers and triumphs of running a small business and how we now avoid perilous customer chaos and pitfalls. And today we are talking about getting ready for 2021. So I'm Clare Whalley.
I'm Darren Langley.
I'm Kate Curry.
I'm Pete Morgan.
Welcome, everybody. I am very much looking forward to talking with you about how you all get ready for 2021. And I think it's worth noting at this point that as we're in the UK, we have just gone into lockdown number 3. So we have additional joys of how we're getting ready for 2021. So I know this is going to be really useful for all you business owners out there, sharing ideas of getting ourselves prepared for the year ahead. So I'd love to start by asking you, let's start with you, Kate. What's your favourite way to get yourself ready for a new year in your business? So how have you got started this year?
Okay, so I suppose the first thing I've been looking at today, this isn't a funny answer, by the way.
That's okay.
I'll try and make it as entertaining as possible. I've been looking at my systems and processes. I'm not sure if we've already discussed this briefly in other episodes, but it's something that for me, it's the way forward. I think in a year, the last year, full of uncertainty and, U-turns and complete unforeseen things hitting us left, right and centre. I think just to have something I can rely on in my business that's really, planned out, it's strategic, I know exactly what's happening with it. And that feels amazing to have that. So that's how I've started my year. I have got a series of flow charts for every part of my customer journey, and it feels so good. It feels brilliant. So that's how I've started.
Brilliant. And what difference do you feel it's going to make?
Well, I already feel calmer about things. I definitely have had moments where I've been quite sort of panicky and anxious about business. I just feel a bit more in control. So now I know if I'm speaking to a client, I can just quite easily funnel them in the right direction and get them to be working with me in the most efficient way, because everyone else is in the same position. They don't want to be working with somebody who can't give them that direction. So I'm able to do that now. So.
Brilliant. And I think that's a key word at the moment, isn't it? Control. We've had a lot of our control taken off us. So any way in which we can pull it back, that feels good as a starting point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Darren, what about you? What have you done to get ready for 2021?
Well, my usual annual routine is to go around my clients' websites and make sure the little copyright date is updated at the bottom. So it says, 2021 this time. I haven't got around to everybody yet, but and also they often kind of automate. But anyway, never mind. Generally, my real routine is that I kind of look at my roster, look at my kind of schedule, see what clients I've got on board, and I'll probably do it more at the end of the financial year than at the turn of the new year, to look at the kind of pros and cons of what's happened in the year before. But I still do want to, in kind of January, look at the roster, look at what's coming up, and look at the financials and kind of see what the state of play is really. And that sometimes fires me up or depresses me to kind of get into the new year.
And what did it do this year? Fire you up or depress you?
I think it fired me up actually this year, surprisingly, which is quite surprised really after last year. But no, it's all good. So yeah.
You look quite perky.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. How it's disappeared, but
So you did a full reflection and then a full look at what you wanted to do with the year ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a full plan for the year ahead, but that's kind of that's what I do. Yeah, look at where I'm at currently, look for the next quarter or whatever.
It's still hard to plan, isn't it? Because even now, we don't know exactly what's going to happen
Yeah.
week to week, really.
But,
And
oh, Kate, it's still important to have a plan.
oh, I know.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
That control as much as possible, have your own plan, and just be a bit. I had a great quote which I think I shared with you the back end of last year. Have your plan, have your vision, but be flexible on the detail and how you deliver, which that really resonated with me. So Pete, what about you? What's have you got ready?
I built a bunker, and kind of similar in a way to Darren. It's just a case of going through my clients and making sure that their podcasts are set up in the best way that they can be, that they are visible in all the ways that I can make them visible, and that there's nothing substantial that's changed over the past 12 months. And I also, and I don't necessarily speak to the clients about this, but I kind of start looking at the trends of that podcast and think, okay, where do we think we can get it? And is it something I can help with, or is it something that they can do? And with a couple of the clients, I do talk about what's their goal for their podcasting in the new year. But yeah, it's been that, and I'm doing a big thing of shifting a load of educational resources online. So I'm just kind of plotting all that about, and it's one of those jobs, like when you kind of decide to sort out all your hangers, and you think it'll be 5 minutes. This job. And I think I started talking about it like a month ago. And I'm just
stop pairing your odd socks. Yeah, that'll take 5 minutes.
Exactly.
3 hours later.
Oh God.
There's
just
still
every
so
time
many
you think just every time you think, oh, okay, I can do one on that, and oh wait a minute, because I need a section on that, and oh, for the love of all, there's it's going to be like, it'll be like the Tower of Babel. There's going to be so many different sections in it. It's going to be incredible. So yeah, so there's a lot of planning, but again, similar to what Kate said, the nice odd touch of anxiety and doubt that creeps in there.
Yeah. See, guys, this is where I really get my geek on at the start of a new year, because as a coach, I love setting goals, I love planning, I love getting ready. So I'm like a witch in her coven at this time of the year, throwing all these details in and all these little bits and pieces that I'm going to do. So I've got a lot of rituals that I do at this time of year. I do 2 goal setting sessions. So I'll do one for my clients, which I get involved in and set my own goals. And then I do one with my coach as well at the beginning of January. I get a vision board on the go. I get New Year's resolutions, and I get the family involved. So I love this time of year. I find it really exciting. And with the added homeschooling thing mixed in, because we've kind of been through it already, I made sure I got really clear plans around that. So I had my breakdown when I first heard that the schools were closing, thinking, oh, how am I going to do it again? But then, got back into control, got all the plans in place. And so far, it feels, I'm just going to say, okay. It's not great, it's okay. Whereas last year it was pretty horrific. So yeah, I really advocate, getting those plans in place and getting really clear on what you want to achieve. Put the outside world exactly where it is outside, and just focus in on what you want to get done this year.
That's really good advice.
Get your geek on.
Absolutely. However, you've now put a picture in my head of you with a big spoon going, oh, goal setting workshops with Eye of Newt.
That is exactly what I'm like.
Staring at each other.
I don't know why she didn't say like a fairy, like a planning or goal-based fairy, but no, she went with witch.
Yes. But Do you know what? Because I'm seeing my husband, he sees me coming along ready for this new year goal setting and resolutions. He's like that. What the hell? Do you know what his New Year's resolution was?
Go on.
To get a little fork that had been sat in one of the bushes in the back garden for 6 months. His New Year's resolution was to remove that from one of the bushes in the back garden.
Yeah, but that's
I
achievable.
went and did it for him and then said, I want another one.
You got a bush that grows cutlery.
That's amazing.
I liked it. It made me smile every time I saw it because I was like, what kids has thrown that in there? But yeah, so witch in a coven, that's me in January.
Brilliant.
So guys, what do you wish you'd known about kind of getting ready for your year and goal setting and planning when you started out? What would you have done differently? Pete, I'm going to start with you.
I think my biggest barrier is organization. I mean, I realize that it always sounds like an excuse when I say it, but it genuinely isn't. I've been creative for all of my life, and I've never really met an organized creative person. There is that thing of I just want to be creative and be creative and be creative.
That's why we have hangers everywhere and odd socks.
Yeah, exactly. And then someone goes, wait a minute, you need to do some admin. And you're like, what? No, forget that. Let's carry on being. So I think I wish I just got a little bit more organized when I had the time to do it. Because these days when you feel like, okay, if I shut my eyes for a couple of minutes, everything's going to fall away. I'm going to lose control of everything. You know, you just feel like you're just hanging on to everything because you're trying to look in, 16 different directions at once.
What would you have got organized with at the starting point?
I think just where everything is in either in one app or one place or just where I can go right. And I guess it's a little bit of what Kate was talking about, of that kind of the customer journey of, right, okay, this is where everything is. And keeping all that right. I can see where I am. There's a kind of a business, but it's wider than that. It's about the business as a whole, looking at that and going, okay, I know where we are. I know what's going to go on next.
Yeah.
So it's that really.
Yeah. Cool. Darren, what do you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, I suppose similar. It's kind of having that structure. I mean, I kind of view planning and planning my business, planning my year as being a journey. So kind of, I sort of have an idea of where I want to get to, and a rough sort of roadmap of how to get there. And then I just kind of concentrate on what's in the headlights in front of me right there. So, I kind of break down my planning down to weekly chunks, and have a sheet that I fill out every week with what I'm doing towards that kind of goal, the things that are on my radar, because I'm like that as well. I'm not good at planning, being organized. It doesn't come naturally because I'm from a kind of a creative background as well.
Yeah,
so.
I'm speaking to three creatives here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is kind of my forcing myself to be organized, getting it out of your head and onto a bit of paper, old school style. I love Trello, but I think having paper is a real boon when it comes to planning, because it's right there in front of you on your desk, and anything that comes up into your mind, you scribble it down. You need to do that. It's like a to-do list or a task list, but it's organized, it's prioritized, and that keeps me on my path.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a man who speaks my language. I am a real firm believer in out of your head and onto paper.
Yeah.
There's something about how you connect with it more when you're physically writing it down rather than doing it via a computer or laptop. So yeah. Kate, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with Pete and Darren, and from a creative background and somebody who's very comfortable with a very messy desk, which probably breaking out the cold sweat the words messy desk. But I wish I'd known a bit more about coaching, I think, right at the beginning. By the time the penny dropped for me and I realised, right, I need to understand about the structure of my business. I need to work on my business. I can't just go out there and go, I do graphic design for people. You know, there's you have to have that strategy and that structure behind it. And by the time the penny dropped, and I enrolled on a couple of business courses, which were just phenomenal, and then enrolled in some coaching, then I'm just like, oh goodness, why didn't I do this right at the beginning? You know, by that point, there were a lot of threads that needed untangling and then rearranging to sort of pull things into order. So I think I'd have got somewhere a bit quicker, but you know, it's all part of the natural journey, isn't it? And better late than never.
Yeah. I feel completely the same, and I'm a business coach. I wish I'd have engaged with a business coach myself right at the beginning, but you know, I went through a lot of pain, but I got there in the end. I think it's human nature to feel like we've got to go through the tough times. If this has got to be hard to feel good, it's nuts. I think in the beginning as well, I listened to too many things like The Secret. Do you know about, yeah, like Rhonda Byrne, which, you know, it's a great concept. I firmly believe in the law of attraction. However, I kind of let that do all my work for me. I was like, oh, okay, then I'll just think about all the lovely things that I want to achieve. And I wasn't really taking the action. I think I was quite fearful of taking the action because of fear of failure and a whole load of things. So, you know, it's important that when you've got these plans, take the blooming action as well. Do the small steps every day. Just keep ticking off these bigger goals and into little steps, and then you'll get there.
And don't just do 90% of them. That's sort of the thing, isn't it? I'm guilty of that. 90%. I'm like, oh, I'm nearly there. Okay, I'll come back to that later. And there's sometimes a block stopping you from just finishing it to tick it off your list.
Yeah. Well, there's that 80-20 rule comes in, doesn't it? You do 80% of the work, and then you're like, oh, that last 20%.
Yeah.
Find someone else to do it for you if you don't want to do it. So what's something that you failed at, Pete, when it comes to, you know, planning and getting ready and setting goals?
Well, part of me thinks we've all not necessarily failed at it, but we kind of touched on it at the beginning of how hard it is to plan for this year because we're using the experience of last year.
Yeah.
So last January, so we're recording this in the middle of January.
We were oblivious.
Oh, what? I was getting ready to go away. You know, it was all wonderful and marvelous times, and you know, so I think, like I say, not necessarily a failure, but it's made me just cautious when I'm planning. So all the plans I've put in place and all the kind of ideas and the goals I've got for 2021, as you say, I think the diplomatic term you use is being flexible with them. I'm willing to chuck them in the bin when, you know, something falls off the edge of a cliff and all society changes. You know, so it's probably that, really, you know. Yeah.
I, you know, in the past when I've set goals, you know, when I haven't achieved them, or if I'm starting to see, oh, this isn't coming in, you know, in the way that I want it to, I will just like, I would have just chucked the baby out with the bathwater and gone, oh, I'll forget it then, I'll move on to something else, you know, get to that 80% and then think, oh, forget it. And that's just silly because, you know, anything worth having does take you a lot of dedication and time to get, and it's always worth sticking with and finding another way around. So that's something that's changed for me in the last sort of 5+ years. What about you, Kate?
Well, I think for me, it's understanding that goals don't always happen in the timescale that you set them for. And that's probably where I've failed before and just gone, oh, well, that was rubbish, wasn't it? Because I didn't do it. And then, but actually 2 or 3 years later, I did do it. And I found I was having an uncharacteristically tidy moment, sorting out some things in the office, and I uncovered the card that I'd sent myself. I think it came through last year from the goal setting workshop, where you send yourself your card to say, you've achieved your goals. And at the time I opened up, it was like, well, I didn't do any of that. But actually, there was some personal goals in there and some business ones. And I now have achieved them. So I just think, well, sometimes things take longer, and it's making sure that it's not a failure if you don't hit your deadlines. And sometimes, you just have to go, well, actually, I achieved 75% of that goal, but that's still amazing, because that's still I've still achieved way more than perhaps I would have done if I hadn't set that goal.
Absolutely. And I think this is why so many business owners don't do this goal setting or don't do the planning, because it's just that immediate thought comes in, well, I'm not going to achieve it anyway, so what's the point? Why bother? But it is so important.
I love how we're all characterizing ourselves as petulant toddlers when we don't achieve. Oh, forget it. I've not achieved it. Forget it. But isn't
that just how we handle it, or used to handle it? It certainly is me. I'm an old feet stamper, so yeah, that would have definitely been me. Forget it. I'm not going to bother again.
I love that.
Oh, but that feeling happens all the time in business, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why you need the plan, so that it can keep you focused and keep you,
I think you still get those, even if you've got a plan, you still get those moments. And that's why it's good to have the plan, because then you refer back to the plan.
Yes.
And you go back to it.
You get your adult pants back on rather than your napper. You're an adult. Let's make decisions rationally.
And keep focused on your destination as well. I think the plan is to lead you somewhere, and that's where you need to keep focused on as well. Even if the plan might, have to adapt slightly, it's your vision for where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I think we all need to just write that in big letters next time we fancy having a toddler tantrum and doing a floppy on the floor, like toddlers do, when no one can pick you up.
Brilliant. Darren, had any toddler tantrums?
Oh, all the time. And even my kids do too sometimes. But I like that old saying, and it is very corny, but the whole fail to plan, plan to fail line. And I do think about that sometimes, and kind of keeps me not motivated, but it reminds me that I need to make a plan. So, and I think other than that, I think everything we've said really has kind of resonated for me. The things like doing 80% of the plan or of the goal that you set, and kind of losing momentum. That's where I struggle a little bit. Sometimes full of enthusiasm right at the beginning, and it's like, oh, this is going to be the best. I'm going to make all these notes, get these drawings, get on with it, do stuff. And then you kind of over the course of time, you do kind of, that old idea again, So yeah, I think keeping the momentum up to stay on track is also something to focus on.
Yeah, my coach always says to me, it's about course correcting. And I love that, because you can kind of go off slightly, and then like the temper tantrums comes out, and it really is just a case of going, no, I'm just going to get back on course of where I was aiming to get to. And if ideas keep coming back in your head as to something that you want to achieve, well, you've got to listen to them, because they keep coming back for a reason. So rather than me asking you, I'm going to ask you a different question now. So what have you done to prepare for 2021 with the lockdown and the difference in our lives this year? Because of course, like Pete said, last January we were blissfully unaware of what was coming our way, but this year we know what lockdowns are like. The business landscape is very different. So how have you prepared differently this year with that in mind? Kate?
I suppose first of all, I'm trying to our personal lives and work lives are overlapping again, where they probably shouldn't be. I quite like to keep them nice and separate if possible. So I just need to try and get everybody in business and, you know, my family, just to try and be as proactive as they can to otherwise I'm ending up doing too much for too many people and getting very quickly overwhelmed. So that's one thing. So for just little things like saying to the kids, right, you need to make your own lunch today. You can just have a slice of dry bread if that's all you can be bothered to do, but you need to sort yourself out. Go in the kitchen. There's loads of food. There's loads of options. You know, you're old enough to make your own now. So they're doing it at the moment. So I'm really intrigued to see what's being created in there.
What are they? They're 2 and 3 now, aren't they?
Yeah, there's going to be jam everywhere.
Yeah.
How old are they, Kate?
Oh, they're 12 and 11, so they're more than capable. And then I suppose the other thing is getting back into the coaching again. I've had a bit of a break from it, and I think now more than ever I need help to stay focused and keep things going. I can't end up in the same place I was the last 2 lockdowns, and I'm determined for that not to be the case. And I know the end's in sight. Still a way off, but it's in sight. You can see it, tiny little prick of light at the end of the tunnel, and I've just got to stay, stay really positive and keep working on the business, keep actioning everything, just little steps. So that's what I've done.
That's good for you, Kate. For me personally, I did very similar, the same as you, Kate. I've got the kids really organised with everything for their homeschooling. We're really lucky, they've both got full timetables of classes on Zoom. And we've gone through instructions they've written down. I've got a 6-year-old, so he's doing brilliantly. They've got full instructions of how to, scan and upload their work. So they're feeling more self-sufficient. So that is a much better start. And for me personally, my business last year was so hectic, keeping a full practice as well as having the kids at home. I have to say, by the end of the year, my mindset was shot. We had a bereavement in the family as well. So it was a really specifically tough end to last year. So I've done lots of mindset work at the start of this year, and I've given myself a promise to keep in calm and ease. Those are my 2 words for this year. Notice how my voice is changing. I am very keen on keeping calm. So the meditation is coming back in, and already, 5 days into my business year, it's made a huge difference. So whatever you can do to keep in control and keep calm, do it. Pete.
Follow that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to run around like a headless chicken. And,
no.
He's going to sort his coat hangers out.
Yeah, exactly. I've always got that. Because I started the year just kind of the same way as I ended it, really, of just kind of cracking on. I was very lucky. We've taken on new clients and launched new podcasts, and the year started exactly the same. So it's kind of being when I worked in radio, we would have a thing. We would occasionally have what we call duck shows. So I was on air being all, yes, that's fine, this is what the show is. But the other side of the glass, my producer and the BA would just all going bananas. And so there's a little bit of that, I think, that, when I'm talking to clients, it's no, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a really good format. And yeah, we can sort that. All right, see you later, bye. Right, okay, what do we do now? So it's just bringing equilibrium to that. Yeah. And again, I've kind of moved away from mindfulness, not consciously, not obviously, not deliberately. So I want to get back to that as well, and kind of get back to a bit more meditation and a bit more kind of time on me, I think.
Yeah, eloquently put. Darren, how have you prepared? You've got 2 young kids at home.
Yeah.
How have you prepared for handling it?
Well, I've locked them back in the cupboard again, so that's all good. Throw in a few crumbs of food every now and again. And
bit of dry bread, yeah?
that's it, yeah. Dry bread, stale bread, yeah. I am joking for the benefit of social services. Yeah, absolutely. It's another tricky one, isn't it? And it's different each time, I think. So the things we've learned from the first lockdown, homeschooling and all of that, it all sort of seems afresh again now. You know, the issues, the same sort of things to kind of tackle. But my sort of aim is to just try and be not put myself under too much pressure when it comes to the work side of things. Make sure I'm doing projects that I'm enjoying, which I am at the moment, which is good. You know, the projects I have, doesn't always happen that the projects you've got on one go is, you know, are enjoyable and interesting, which at the moment they are. So my plan is to kind of keep that, try and, you know, think of good projects to get involved in and be part of, visualize them, ask the universe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, that's it. Maybe do a few more pub quizzes, because you can never have too many lockdown pub quizzes. So
No, certainly can't.
So you know, that's my plan.
It's good. I'm sensing a lot more calm than in previous lockdowns, but it's important that we did that for ourselves, because, you know, who knows how many more months ahead we've got. So we need to be more prepared this time around. So what are you taking away from our conversation today, Pete?
I think just a little bit more organization, I think is the thing. I think Darren has inadvertently placed himself in a role as a mentor, because before Christmas he talked about turning off notifications for LinkedIn and emails, which I did and do. So my phone doesn't tell me when I get an email or when I get a notification on LinkedIn, and that's been incredibly freeing. And this idea of kind of having something that you fill in on a weekly basis to kind of go, right, this is what I'm after, this is where I am in getting that done, and just kind of keeping track of that. So I don't have paper. I mean, I do, so I have notebooks and things. I love a good notebook. But I bought a desktop whiteboard. So it's a strip of whiteboard, so I can make notes on it, and obviously I have a nice cloth to wipe them off when I've kind of achieved that task.
Oh, you need to tweet a picture of that, Pete, or share it on one of the channels. That sounds interesting.
So yeah, so I will. I mean, I'll put a link to it. I just found it on Amazon, but I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, we'll put that on the social media channels. Excellent.
Darren, what are you taking away from the call?
Well, I'm reminded that I need to sort out my odd socks and coat hangers. So I've got that job to do.
Top of the list.
Put that on the list, yeah. But no, I mean, it's encouraging. It's always encouraging to talk about these things, and hopefully, you know, everybody will get a little something out of it. I'm quite enjoying the calm voiced Claire, though. You know, that's
it's very new.
Yeah, it's almost ASMR kind of level. You know, just whisper a bit. Calm everyone down. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's always encouraging to talk and kind of review. And as I said earlier, you know, I'll kind of resonate with some of the issues that we've spoken about. So that's always good.
Good. Kay.
Oh, I just think it's great to know that we're all going through the same things. I find that really reassuring, because it can feel very isolating when you're on your own trying to deal with and juggle with everything that's going on in the world and everything that's going on within your own bubble. It's just crazy. So like, we obviously all know each other from networking, and I think that that's been such a key part for me, is keeping in touch with each other, and just understanding that we're all in the same boat and we can all you know, help and support each other as well. I think there's been you know, lots of good advice on our podcasts to that we've all, you know, taken bits from to implement over the, you know, the last year that we've been doing this, and for me that's been really helpful. So yeah, so thank you guys.
Oh, It's so true though, because we can look at other people and think, oh, they have got it so sorted. How are they doing it and keeping calm? Which is why I aim to be as honest as possible about what's going on around me. I don't want people to think that I've got it all sorted out, because I haven't. I go through the same challenges, but what I'm taking away from today is just the importance for me to consciously keep recognizing that I want to work in a lot more calm. I'm trying to go out every day. I shall be going out for a walk over the golf course. Shh.
Well, the golf course is shut. You're not going to come across anybody, are you?
As are getting stroppy that they've got all wires, that we shouldn't be going on it. But I personally feel that's really mean. It's the only green area that I've got, otherwise I've got to walk 15, 20 minutes to get there. And with a 6-year-old, that's just not practical. So 2 minutes, I'm on the golf course. Deal with it. My pressure levels are rising. The importance for me is consciously keeping calm, doing my exercising, keeping my meditation going, and that helps me be a better mom, a better person, a better coach, all those things. So
playing a quick round of golf as well.
Oh no, that just spoils it. I like looking for the golf balls. That's kicking through the leaves and finding a golf course, nothing makes me happier in my lunch break. Guys, that's been a great talk today. Like Kate says, it's so good to share and to talk and to know that we're all going through stuff, but we have good strategies and good plans in place to help us still be achieving in our business and still be moving forward. So as always, please share, subscribe and review so our fellow business owners can enjoy, be inspired. And as always, keep focused on the fun side of business too.